Hey guys, it's Miss Wallace coming to you live from my house. Thanks, COVID. Today, I want to talk to you guys about the Me Too movement. Okay, some of you have probably seen it before on social media, hashtag Me Too, but maybe you didn't know what it was about. And it kind of connects to the library because we have books dealing with the topic of Me Too. Okay, but a history lesson first. First, you need to know that the Me Too movement started actually in 2006, not as recent as you thought, 12 years ago, with Tarana Burke, an African-American woman from the Bronx. And she created the Me Too movement, minus the hashtag, because she wanted to have these discussions about rape, about sexual harassment, about sexual assault and sexual violence. And she felt like those conversations were not happening in America, and she wanted to start something about that. But she did not get the momentum in the beginning that happened later in 2017 with this guy, Harvey Weinstein. He was a filmmaker, and he was accused and arrested of rape, sexual assault, sexual abuse from an astonishing 80 women. Okay, it is safe to say he was forced into an early retirement. And that is when the hashtag came about, hashtag Me Too. Alyssa Milano was the one who suggested it. Now you might be like, well, how does that name sound familiar? She played on Charmed. She was the witch who could see into the future. She had premonitions. But she started to get involved, and she referenced Me Too and asked women, encouraged them even, to speak out and in their silence. So basically, the Me Too movement is about oppression of women. It involves many different things. It can be rape, sexual assault, sexual harassment, sexual violence, sexism, dehumanization, subservience of women. It can also be the objectification of women, which a lot of people have problems with the way that women are being portrayed as being overtly sexual and having these bodies that are pretty much plastic because a natural human being can't make it that way. And the movement is about power, okay? A lot of people say that there is an inequality here between men and women feel that their value is less than the value that men have in America. And so it is also about feminism, because it's about standing united. It is not about hating men, even though some people have said that the Me Too Act is a glorified witch hunt, which I do not agree with. But it's about speaking up for things that are wrong in our country, and it's time to do that. Now, how does that connect to the library? I know what you're thinking, Miss Wallace. How does that have to do with a book? Well, in the library there are tons of books about rape and sexual harassment and sexual assault, and I'm going to talk to you today about 5 of them, okay? The first one is Speak. And it was published in 1999 by Laurie Halse Anderson. Can you see? Okay. This is the story of Melinda. She goes to high school, Meriwether High School, and they had summer together. It was a huge party. Melinda goes to it, and what does she do? She calls the cops. And now she's an outcast. Nobody wants anything to do with her, not even her best friend. She is a social pariah. You know what, though? Nobody asks her why she calls the cops, because when they arrive, she runs. And the book has kind of a duality to it. She doesn't go mute, but she doesn't speak about what happened to her. And the only reprieve she gets from high school, because she is bullied to an extent, is that she loves art class, and there's something good in there. Okay, the second book is Moxie by Jennifer Matthew. Can you see? Okay, this book is a pretty sweet book. It was published in 2017, and it still has the discussions about rape victims. It still has the discussions about sexual harassment, and it still talks about those issues, but it's kind of a little bit more lighthearted. The main character, Vivian Carter, okay, so she goes to a small town Texas high school. They have a very popular football team, but this girl, she's done. Like, she's over the sexual harassment she hears in the hallways at school. She is over the sexist language. So she creates a feminist magazine, and she passes it out to her girlfriends and then girls that are not her friends. And even though it really discusses the same topics that we were just talking about, I find that this book is more about female empowerment than anything else. So if you are a little feminist, you would really like this book, I think. It is young adult fiction, Moxie by Jennifer Matthew. Oh, and by the way, Moxie means force of character, determination, or nerve, according to the Oxford Dictionary. So that should kind of give you an idea about what this book is about. The next book I want to talk to you about is called Asking for It. It was published in 2016. And this book is hard to read, okay? Written by Louise O'Neill. Okay, you can see the plastic Barbie on the cover. Emma O'Donovan is from Ireland. That's where the place, the setting is. She's popular, she's fair-skinned, she's gorgeous. People think she has money, even though the money is kind of not there. But here's the thing. She dresses provocatively. She wants boys' attention. She wants her legs showing off. She wants the boys to look at her breast. And she's catty. And she's sexually active, okay? And I have never read a book about a victim who you end up going, she was asking for it. And you think it and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I just said that. This book raises a lot of important questions that you may have about, where's the line drawn when a girl acts like a slut? And what happens to her? But then it's like, did she ask for it? She didn't, okay? You need to read this book. It's a hard read, though. It's gritty. And it's graphic, so beware. Older upperclassmen, juniors, seniors. The next book that I read is The Sun and Her Flowers, 2017, by Rupi Kaur. This one has to pull out the Wallace archives because it's from my own personal collection. This book is the only one that I'm showing you that is not young adult fiction. It's not even fiction, it's nonfiction, but it's adult nonfiction. So here is the cover, The Sun and Her Flowers by Rupi Kaur. You probably know her first book. It was Milk and Honey. And even though it's nonfiction, it is poetic. Poetry and verse, actually. And this book is divided into 5 sections. Wilting, falling, rooting, rising, and blooming like a flower. The first 2 sections are rather difficult to get through. In the beginning, you're reading it and you're like, oh my God, she's going through this terrible breakup. And maybe some of you ladies can identify with the depression that a young woman goes through when being dumped. It's terrible. She goes to therapy. She talks about her depression. She feels completely abandoned. And but in falling, she is actually raped by a family member. And the reason why I think this book is important is because rooting, rising, and blooming, the last 3 sections are about her healing. And I think when you're reading books like this, that you can get lost in this rabbit hole. It's dark, and you need books that bring you back out of it, okay? And I also do not recommend anybody reading all of these books at the same time, okay? The last book I want to talk to you guys about is Shout, the most recent book out of all these, published in 2019. And it is by the same author of Speak, Lori Halse Anderson, okay? And you can see the similarities, Speak and then Shout. She felt like people still weren't talking about these issues. And so this book is unique. It is young adult, but it is also nonfiction, and it is very similar to The Sun and Her Flowers in that it is poetry in verse, but it is her memoir. I would put this on the same grit level as Asking for It, though, because the first poem, you get her an idea of who her father is, a man, a veteran in the armed forces who is also a preacher. And by the second poem, you realize he beats his wife to the point where knocking out her teeth. She also talks about her rape in one of her poems. And there's alcohol, and there's smoking, and there's drugs. I'm surprised it's not on a banned book list yet. But it's necessary. This book is necessary to read, just like all the other ones. So in conclusion, guys, I hope that I've provided you with 5 different books that you can sink your teeth into. And remember that if any time you need to come and talk to me about these books, I've read them, and I'd love to talk to you about it. And if you need help, if you know someone who's been raped, or if you've been sexually harassed or assaulted, I've got numbers to get to you, and we can get you the help you need. Bye.